Lisa's resting place is a wooden coffin. The house where she lives does not let in a single ray of sunlight. Her entire family is sparsely populated. Only her grandmother and her father are left, and a young brother, Roy. They were not allowed to leave the house. They were locked up like a cage. A live creature accidentally flying into the house would make the two siblings happy for half a day. Every day they look at the sky through the skylight. That's what makes them happy. But Lisa didn't want this life. Since she was a little girl, she hadn't seen the outside world since she was a little girl. She wanted to get out. She didn't want to live in a cage. Roy tried to stop her, but Lisa was having none of it. She pulled the board nailed to the outside and pulled it off with ease. She climbed out through the window. Lisa poked her head out and looked out at the pedestrians in the street. She was delighted. It was the first time she had seen the outside world. She waved at the little boy. Lisa was eager to join them. She took a little leap and jumped to the roof of the next house. Another jump to the roof of the building opposite. Lisa was so happy. She jumped again into the street, just as a boy came out and gave him a fright. Lisa went over to him and looked at him closely. This was the first time she had seen a human boy. But when the boy touched Lisa's hand, Lisa's instinctive reaction became apparent. She bared her two sharp teeth. Her eyes turned a dark red. Lisa rushed to explain that her teeth were hurting. Then she disappeared. Lisa ran off into the night. She was out on the streets again, feeling the heat of the world. Lisa was attracted by the bustle of the streets. She felt that the view outside was so beautiful. Lisa came to a stall selling pomegranates. She looked at the delicious and juicy pomegranates. She wanted to take one, but she didn't know she had to pay. The man grabbed Lisa's hand. Lisa bared her two sharp teeth straight away. The dark red eyes sent chills down the man's back. Lisa was one of the long-rumored liquid-sucking clan. The man shouted out loud. Lisa didn't dare stay any longer. She ran into the darkness of the street. But the man didn't want to let her go. He was chasing after her, shouting as they chased her. Lisa was trapped in the alleyway. The men pulled out their weapons and pointed them at Lisa. Lisa climbed up the wall. She fled along the wall to her home. Her father was surprised. Lisa kept saying she was sorry. The father looked down the stairs. Lisa's cover was blown. There were many people downstairs. Father told Lisa to hide. Then he quickly went to a small hut again, knocking on an old coffin. He knocked like a door, but the grandmother did not answer. He hurriedly opened the coffin. Father rushed to tell her about Lisa. Grandmother's keen sense of smell smelled downstairs at once. The smell of silverware and garlic. Apparently, the men had arrived downstairs. They wore dark red masks. It was the group that was after them. They were called Van Helsing. For half a century, Lisa's family has been hunted by them. Now there is only Lisa's family left, hiding in this town. And now Lisa's momentary lust for fun. The family's identity has been revealed. Grandmother knew there was no time to lose. She pushed the candles down. She took Lisa and the others downstairs, trying to get out through the dark tunnel. But Lisa's hand suddenly glowed with light, and an image came to her mind. In a deep mountain, in an ancient coffin, an elder woke up from his slumber. He too sensed that Lisa was calling him. While Lisa was frozen in place, she was separated from her family. Seeing Van Helsing rushing in, Lisa ran back upstairs. She rushed to hide behind the door. The woman is known as the Van Helsing Huntress. She has captured many a vampire. Lisa hid in the doorway, not daring to make a sound. But the woman seemed to sense something. As the woman slowly approached Lisa, there was another sound from downstairs. The woman rushed down with her men. But as soon as Lisa came out, a man spotted her. Lisa rushed to the attic, but the man caught her in the room. Looking at the man, Lisa was in a panic. She lied that she had been captured by the vampires. Looking at the pitiful Lisa, the man believed her at first, but when he looked at the mirror on the side, he was stunned. The man looks into the mirror, but the girl in front of him, surprisingly, she did not appear in the mirror. Lisa saw that she had been recognized. She kicked the man down, climbed up to the skylight, and jumped out of the roof of the shed. Lisa kept running. She ran through the dark streets. Suddenly a man grabbed her. It was Lisa's father. Just then, Lisa's hand glowed again. She saw the same image she had seen before. In an old cemetery, there was a great elder who had been asleep for over 300 years, had been awakened. He wore a ruby ring, a symbol of status. It is the highest honor. Only elders who have lived for more than 100 years, they are only allowed to wear it. The Grand Master suddenly felt like he was being watched. It was as if a pair of eyes were staring at him. At that moment, the light on Lisa's hand disappeared. His father was shocked at the sight. He rushed to ask Lisa, why was the light coming from her hands? Lisa told her father. One night when she was sleeping in the coffin, she felt something flew into her body. After that she would see some inexplicable images. It seemed that her father sensed something. He told Lisa not to tell anyone, that his hands would glow. Otherwise Lisa would be in danger. But when Lisa continued to ask questions, her father was reluctant to say anything. He seemed to be hiding something. Father took Lisa to meet up with grandmother. Grandmother had contacted the rest of the family in advance. They boarded a boat that was on the shore. Lisa looked at everything with curiosity. On that boat stood the elders of the other families. They watched the family come aboard with cold eyes. The grandmother came up to Lisa and told her they were a lowly family. They had no place in the family. You must be careful. Don't mess with them in any way. Otherwise, Lisa's family would be in trouble. They went inside the cabin. They lay down in their coffins and began to sleep. But then something happened to Lisa. Lisa is lying in a coffin. Her eyes are closed and she is about to fall asleep. She crosses her arms over her body. Her right hand is slightly open. The light glowed again. Lisa woke up. She saw another vision. In an old castle in the distance, a dying old man walked slowly in, as if each step was draining his life force. If the other families knew he had opened his eyes again, they would all have to come and bow down in respect. The Grand Master opened an iron door. Inside were many little cuties. They were so happy to see the Grand Master. They all scrambled to fly to his side. The elder grabbed them with his hand. He took one of the cuties in his hand and held it tightly. He has just awakened. He still needed to regain his vitality, but the one who spied on him made the Grand Elder restless. He had to find this person. He brought the ruby ring closer to the little darling. It was a reward for him. If the other elders had seen him do this, they would have been stunned. It was an honor they'd never get in their lives. The little cutie nudged the ring with his mouth. Its body slowly grows larger. It turned into a girl. The Grand Master placed his cloak over her body. The girl was flattered. From then on she was the leader of the Bat Clan. She swore an oath of eternal loyalty to her master. But what the Great Elder didn't know was that Lisa had seen everything that had happened in this place. The light disappeared again. Lisa stepped out. She remembered what her father had told her. She took the cloth and tied her glowing hands together. Lisa took advantage of the lack of people. She sneaked out onto the deck, looking out over the endless sea. Lisa was in a very happy mood. The blonde boy pulled her over to him. The boy didn't have to open his mouth to speak. He sent a message into Lisa's head. He told Lisa he was a druk of the Dark Ones. Their instinctive gift was the ability to read minds. It suddenly occurred to Lisa. This clan is notorious. The leader was a fearful and selfish man. The boy suddenly spoke again. I am his son. What Lisa was thinking just now. He had read her mind. The boy was furious. He turned around and jumped into the cabin. At that moment the father came over. He told Lisa to go back to sleep in the coffin, but just as Lisa was lying down, Lisa's hands lit up again. This time she saw the Grand Elder was beside an ancient coffin, while Batgirl waited respectfully by the side. He had given the girl a task to find a ship on the sea, to fetch the rubies he had given to the families, so that he could regain his power, to bring his lover back to life. The Grand Master gave his ruby ring to Batgirl. The girl understood the intention and she put it in her mouth. Only to see her turn into a bat again, and flew off into the distance. And all this happened. Lisa saw it again. It was as if she had access to the Grand Master's mind. With a glow from her hand, she could see what was in front of him. A little boy came running. He told Lisa that the ship had reached its destination. Lisa was welcome to come. But when Lisa arrived at the cabin, the children of the various families looked at the girl in front of her with a look of disdain. When the blonde boy saw Lisa, he hastily sent a message telling her not to stare at them. It was rude. He then asked Lisa to introduce herself. But when she said the name of her family, they laughed at her again. The boy Lisa had talked to earlier, trying to help Lisa, he threw a book straight at her. The blonde boy, Carter, caught it in his hand. The book began to smoke. It became hot. His hands were burned. Carter was furious. He lifted the boy up. The two girls were trying to get up. Adam, who was sitting on one side, a lightning bolt came from his hand. The girl's dress flew up. They started to fight straight away. Lisa was trying to save the boy. She also rushed towards Carter. There was chaos. Everyone started to fight. The doors were suddenly thrown open. The elders of each family came in. All the children stopped fighting. The eldest elder in charge warned them. Originally there were 13 clans in the darkness, but now there were only 5 clans left, with Van Helsing hunting them down. The clan members were depleted. Now there are only a few of you left. You are the future of the clan. The Grand Master has made an announcement. From now on, a school of darkness will be established. A new chapter for the Darkness clan will begin. All children will be taught various skills on board. He will be the headmaster of this school. Hearing that she would be learning the skills of the Dark Ones, Lisa had a look of anticipation on her face. But in the distance, on the shore, a bat flew by. The bat turns into a woman. The woman hides in a corner, watching carefully the people coming off the boat. She found the ruby that her master had asked her to find. Immediately reported the situation to the Grand Master. When the Grand Master received the news, he separated his shadow, quickly came to the woman's side. With the power of the ruby, the Grand Master could travel as fast as a shadow, followed the woman at all times. He told the woman to act quickly, to steal the rubies and bring them to him, and with that the shadow disappeared. It returned to the old man who was dying. The Great Elder had come to the human home. No one would have noticed what a terrible being he once was. The elders of the Dark Ones left their children behind and left the ship. Now Lisa and the others are about to start their own own darkness lessons. Because of her family's lowly status, she had to follow the crowd. She was sitting in a corner, but even that didn't stop her from wanting to take the dark lesson. After a while, a dark teacher with glasses came in. He told everyone to take out their notebooks. The first lesson was important. It could save lives in a time of crisis. He opened a box. He mumbled something. Then he pulled something out and pointed it at everyone. They looked at the object in the teacher's hand. They became nervous. Lisa also showed 2 sharp teeth. Their eyes turned dark red. It was their deepest fear. But what happened next? They froze in their tracks. The little boy did some kind of incantation. He took the object. He held it in his hand as if it were a toy. Carter couldn't stand it any longer. He took advantage of the teacher's lack of attention. He used his family's power. The suitcase snapped to the ground, but Lisa saw everything he did. Carter took the opportunity to leave the class with Adam. On the way out, he sent a message to Lisa. If she were to tell the teacher, she would be treated badly. With that, he and Adam escaped from the classroom. The teacher told them, once they had learned this, then they would no longer be afraid of the cross in the hands of humans. No sooner had the teacher finished speaking than he noticed that 2 people were missing. He looked at Lisa and asked her, where had they gone? And Carter and Adam sneaked into the town on the shore. They looked at the people in front of them, salivating with desire. Adam showed his 2 sharp teeth. He raised his hands, and there was a flash of light. Several bolts of lightning appeared between his hands, above the heads of the 3 girls, and a cloud appeared. Inside, lightning flashed. In no time it was raining. This surprised Carter, who was standing by. Carter did not know that the Adam clan could manipulate the clouds to change the weather. The girls down there were all drenched wherever they went. The clouds always followed their heads. Looking at the girls who were being teased, the 2 laughed loudly with joy. They decided to follow them, to continue their search for joy. But when they entered the house they were stunned. An overwhelming feeling came over them instantly. It made them feel breathless. The environment around them seemed to distort. The sky began to spin. Both of them unconsciously fell to their knees. It was as if someone was pressing down on their bodies. They both fell down straight away. They were covered in cold sweat. Their bodies began to shake and tremble. At that moment some women came out. Carter could still hold on for a while, but Adam had passed out. Carter lied that he was a traveler and wasn't feeling well. The women rushed to bring water. They tried to wake Adam up, but what they didn't know was that the water was pouring on Adam's face. It was like a hot flame. At the critical moment there was a knock on the hall door. When the women opened the door, a woman in black appeared in the doorway. Her eyes changed color. The woman was charmed straight away. The woman in black could only stand in the doorway, not daring to enter. She directed the woman to bring the 2 men out. They left the town as soon as possible. Carter and Adam were taken back to the classroom. Carter looked at Anna with a resentful look on his face. He felt that Anna had told the headmaster about them. They were punished. Anna rushed over to apologize. It was the teacher who had conducted the soul search. She hadn't told anyone, but Carter didn't want to forgive her. But Adam was grateful to Anna. If the elders hadn't arrived in time, he and Carter would never have woken up. Carter had read Anna's mind. He saw the scene in Anna's mind. Anna rushed to tell Carter it was just a dream she'd had, but Carter told her, the dark ones don't dream. Just then Anna's father arrives in time. He told Anna, stay away from Carter. Who can read her mind? Or Anna's secret would be revealed. Anna returned to the cabin. She saw an elegant woman. The woman touches Lisa's cheek, scrutinizing her face, a pair of deep eyes, as if they could see right through Lisa. She always felt that the girl in front of her, something was different. After the woman observed, she broke into a smile. She told Lisa that she was her mother's best friend Anna. Her mother was a soldier. She had fought alongside her before the clans fought over the rubies, fought together against Dracula. The woman placed her hand on Lisa's body. She was in a state of shock. The sound of her heart beating came instantly. Lisa was the first girl of the Dark Ones, the first girl to have a heartbeat. It was just as her mother had told her. Lisa went back to her room to rest, but just as she closed her eyes, her hands glowed again. Lisa opened her eyes. She pushed open the lid, and this time, she was in a tavern. Lisa stepped out. She looked around her. She saw the familiar old man at once. Grand Elder OS was having dinner. Everyone seemed to be ignoring Lisa's presence, but suddenly OS saw her. This time he saw Lisa's face. He reached out his hand to Lisa. There was a suction behind Lisa. She was back in the box where she had been sleeping. The light from her hand disappeared. She pushed the lid open again. The house was back to normal. Anna didn't know what was going on. Ever since that weird ball of light had flown into her body, she had always followed the old man. It was as if there was some kind of connection between the two. In a speeding carriage in the night, a little cutie hid under the seat. It rushed towards the man. There was a thud. A woman flies out of the carriage. The eldest of the House of Darkness stepped out of the carriage in a panic. A string of ruby necklaces around his neck was missing, and Batgirl hid in the grass with a snickering face. The man hurriedly held onto his ruby, transmitting the news to the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder learns of the situation. With a shocked face, he realized that someone had set their sights on their rubies again. The ruby on Oz's chest lit up. A message came from Batgirl, only to see him stretch out his hand, separating the shadows. And with one hand he took the ruby necklace from Batgirl's. The ruby necklace in her hand and took it back. He told the woman to keep looking for an opportunity to fetch the ruby, and with that, he began to enjoy a feast. He sucked the liquid out of everyone in the room. Oz's face regained its appearance. He changed from an old man to a young man, and he charmed an older man. He became his servant. But suddenly he felt someone watching him. The light from Anna's hand disappeared. Anna had seen everything that had happened, and this time it made the Great Elder Os feel the distance between them was close. He had to find the girl. There was a knock on Anna's lid. Lisa is too weak. Twin sisters push Lisa to the ground. Lisa's family's lowly status, making Lisa a target for the children of other families at school to make fun of. The water the twins had just poured on her head. It was a bucket of ordinary seawater. It's a new lesson at the School of Darkness. The headmistress gave them lessons. Looking at the handprints she had drawn on her notes, Lisa thought of her mother. It was one night, and the glow of her mother's hand, and lit up little Lisa's cheeks. But ever since that day, Mother had disappeared. The Grand Master woke Lisa up suddenly. Lisa snapped out of her memories. The elders asked Lisa to tell them about what their family could do. Lisa thought for a moment and then told him her family's power was love, the ability to make people and creatures fall in love with them. But after hearing this, the other students, they all laughed at the idea that Lisa's family had a useless power. Lisa finished her answer and continued with her lesson, but then she felt something strange in her right hand, and sure enough, it glowed again. An image came into Lisa's mind. A man under the water. Surprised to find a necklace of rubies, Oz took his servant to a pond. He lifted one hand, and the underwater servant rose into the air. And in his hand he held a ruby-encrusted wrist guard. And at that moment, in the old cemetery, on a stone, a dull red light glowed, and a knot hanging in mid-air. Lisa hurriedly put her hand under the table, lest anyone discover her secret. But the look on her face still caught Carter's attention. Carter then used his mind-reading skills, but what he saw was Lisa's mother. When Lisa sensed this, she told Carter to get out of her head. With that, she walked out of the house with a tray. Lisa went to the lower level of the cabin. Here the servants of the families lived. She found her father. Lisa couldn't wait to find out what had happened to her mother. Her mother had left without saying goodbye, but her father didn't want to tell her. He just said it wasn't the right time. But when Lisa pressed him, he gave in. The man told Lisa that he was not his real father. His name was George and he was a servant in her family. Lisa was stunned when she heard this. It turned out that Lisa's real father had fallen in a clan fight. Her mother was devastated. She chose the sun and disappeared from the world. She found it unbelievable. The Dark Ones have no emotions except for childbirth. There is no way to have emotions. But the man told her with a sincere face that this was the way it was. Lisa then asked what the light on her hand was about. But this time George didn't tell her. No matter how much Lisa asked, George just told Lisa to keep it a secret. When the time had passed, it would choose a new host. George told Lisa to stay here and learn. The only way to survive was to be strong. She was the hope of the family. Lisa quietly went to the classroom. She opened a cupboard. She quietly took out a bottle of holy water. She was going to start her revenge plan. Lisa opened the perfume bottle, pouring the holy water in quietly. The twin sisters in the box were sleeping soundly, not even noticing anything. Lisa placed the blended holy water and placed it at their feet again. Then she closed the box. She hid quietly, waiting for the show to begin. And sure enough, as midnight came, the two sisters woke up. They took the perfume and sprayed it on themselves. But the two sisters, suddenly they felt something was wrong. The area where the perfume had been sprayed, there was a burning sensation. Smoke rose from both their necks, while Lisa stood by and watched them. This is what happens when you tease and laugh at her. But Carter, who could read minds, found out about it. He found Lisa, telling her not to go too far. Lisa was not impressed. On the deck in the night, a girl leads a wolf, boarded the ship. She led her pet into the cabin. Everyone in the room was stunned to see the wolf. The atmosphere was tense. Lisa bared her fangs too. The Dark Ones had fought the wolves for centuries. Now that they saw the wolf in front of them, there was hostility in everyone's hearts. The girl rushed to say, they are the descendants of the Dark Ones and the werewolves. They also belonged to the Night Clan, but this family was already extinct. Carter immediately used his mind-reading skills. It turned out that the girl was telling the truth. After confirming her identity, the Grand Master decided to take the girl in to join the School of Darkness, studying with Lisa and the girl. Lisa saw that everyone had no hint of affection for the girl. Lisa took the initiative and walked over. She said hello to the girl, but what they didn't know was that, in a corner, a little cutie was watching all this with great interest. The Grand Master returned to the house. He took his ruby necklace off and gave it to his wife. He told her to keep it as soon as possible, for he had a bad feeling, a sense of impending danger. After the two men had left, one of the bats hanging from the roof of the shed flew down. Batgirl contacted Oz because it was the Grand Elder. She was afraid she was no match. She couldn't get the ruby, but this time Oz told her to leave the ruby alone. He told her to find Lisa, the girl on the ship, to find out more about the girl. As the girl's family was a branch of the dark side, she was treated the same way as Lisa. She was given the same cold shoulder as Lisa. Lisa offered to sit her next to her and lent her notes and let her copy them, but she didn't think. She forgot that she had drawn the images she saw in her head. She had already drawn it on her notes. Now the girl found out. Lisa rushed to get it back. Looking at what she had drawn on her notes, Lisa wondered when the puzzle would be solved. In the evening, Lisa and the new girl, Lena, were laughing and talking. The twin sisters on the other side had a look of disgust on her face, but none of them noticed. A little cutie crawled on the floor. Little cutie creeps up to the corner of the table. It turns into a mouse, watching carefully what's in front of him, afraid that he might miss some important information. But suddenly a hand picked it up. Tom found it. He thought it was a pet. He took it and looked at it carefully. He was bored on the boat. Now he had a playmate. Tom put the mouse on the table, trained him to walk from one end to the other. Tom decided he would make a cage to keep him in. The mouse seems to understand Tom's words. He took advantage of the time they were talking. He slips away as quickly as he can, quickly across the hall. He escaped through the door. He went back into Lisa's room. He hid and watched quietly. In the box, Lisa could not sleep for a long time. She looked into her palm, but this time there was no light. It's as if the light appears randomly every time. Or maybe there's no news from Oz. Lisa couldn't figure it out. She thought of an idea. Lisa got out of the box. She knocked on one of the boxes, called the Grand Master's son out from inside, asking him if there was a library nearby. She wanted to look up a book. The boy told Lisa there was only a library in the town. After receiving the information, Lisa decided to venture into the human town to find the library. But what she didn't know was that Carter found out about it. He followed Lisa closely behind, the two of them, umbrella in hand, into the alleyway. But behind them, a bat was also following them closely. Lisa crossed several streets. She arrived at her destination. Carter followed her in and hid, and the bat behind her flew into a dark corner. It took on its human form again. Girl watched Lisa's every move through the glass. Just as Lisa was checking out the books herself, a familiar figure walked in. It was the boy that Lisa had sneaked out of the house earlier. The boy who had scared her. The boy was surprised too. Both of them were happy to see each other. Carter hid in the background. When he saw this scene, a little bit of sadness came over him. Batgirl rushed to report to Ozzy. Oz ordered her to destroy the book Lisa was holding. Otherwise she would discover the secret she was carrying. The boy Ola invites Lisa to dinner. For the first time a boy has asked her out. Lisa is tempted, but the restaurant was on the other side of the sun. Lisa opened her umbrella to hide from the sun. Inside the restaurant with the boy, Carter ducked to the side. He felt uncomfortable, but what he saw next, he couldn't stand it. The boy grabbed Lisa's hand. Carter didn't want to see any more. He turned around and left the restaurant. He passed Batgirl on his way out. Lisa had never tasted human food before. She didn't even know how to use a fork. The boy felt the noodles wanted some garlic with them. He hurriedly asked Lisa if she wanted any. When Lisa heard this, her head shook like a rattle. Just then, Batgirl was dressed as a waitress. She approached them with a tray. She grabbed the book from the table and ran away. And the people in the restaurant spotted the man on the floor. The scene was in chaos. The boy took Lisa and hid. But when Lisa and the boy tried to run out, the guards caught them and arrested them. They were put in a cell.